From vowing revenge and breaking down while speaking about the Marathas being cheated and humiliated by the current ruling dispensation in the Maharashtra, referenced to Shinde government, and Chief Minister, by the way, himself is a Maratha leader. Jarange Patil had claimed that as his candidates contest this assembly elections, the ruling parties will be packed off. Less than 24 hours, he did a U-turn, saying this: isn't their family business? And even a party like BJP couldn't contest by themselves, and that elections could not be won with just one caste. Well, but victories can be made or literally undone, especially when it comes to the Maratha bar. What are we talking about? The Marathwada region constitutes at least 14% of Maharashtra's population, which amounts to 15% of the assembly, 46 of the 288 seats, and 12% of the state's Lok Sabha seats. That's 8 of the 48 seats. And if you look at the Maharashtra caste split, Marathas constitute 28% as per the Maharashtra State Backward Class Commission, scheduled tribes at 9.35%, scheduled castes at 11.8%. And if you look at the OBCs, which is the largest chunk, if you include also the Muslims, 15%, that is at 52%. Look at the number for Maharashtra, for the Marathas, a huge, sizable number at 28%. Of the 48 Lok Sabha seats, 50% elected MPs are Marathas. That is 26 Marathas and 9 OBCs. This is according to the Lok Niti CSDS data. But to whose advantage is Jarange Patil's somersault in the Maharashtra poll chessboard? Let's look at advantage Mahayuti. It prevents potential splitting of anti-BJP votes and a greater consolidation among the Maratha, Dalit and Muslims. But is this an advantage to the Mahavikas Aghadi? Well, it definitely avoids splitting of the opposition votes against the ruling coalition, and many would say it could enhance MVA's chances in Marathwada, well, something that is of course also seen in the Lok Sabha elections. In fact, Jarange Patil had this to say, that those who promised 400 seats to you have been shown the right outcome, and that they will continue with their demands. The Maratha community's influence will remain unchallenged. Manoj Jarange Patil's influence, particularly in Marathwada, a region with 8 Lok Sabha seats, has had significant political repercussions. During the last Lok Sabha elections, his opposition to the BJP and former Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis contributed to Mahayuti's alliance's losses across Marathwada, as well as in parts of Vidarbha and Western Maharashtra. And if you look at just the key leaders in key positions when it comes to the Maratha leaders, you have Eknath Shinde, of course, the Chief Minister, who attempted to address the demands for Maratha quota. You saw him in and out with talks with Jarange Patil. Sharad Pawar, the veteran politician, one of the tallest leaders of the Marathas, NCP SP leader now, dominant figure not just for the Marathas but also in Maharashtra politics, as it were, and has served multiple terms as the Chief Minister. You have Ajit Pawar, who's the Deputy Chief Minister, and of course the NCP leader as well, with the Mahayuti, aligned with BJP to counterbalance Sharad Pawar's influence, and one of the key reasons why the Mahayuti has kept him very close in their cards. You have Pankaja Munde, senior BJP leader, former minister, represents significant faction within the Maratha community, local advocate for Maratha interests. Well, there's so much more to this, but this is just the nutshell to give a sense of what we are really looking at, even as there's lots that's been happening with respect to the Maratha politics and Maharashtra elections as a whole. Let me introduce my panel at this time. I'm being joined by Anish Gawande, who's a national spokesperson for NCP, Chandrasekhar Jha, Chandrasekhar Jha, who's a spokesperson for Shiv Sena UBT faction, Dr. Uday Nirgudkar, who's a senior journalist, Krishna Hegde, who's a spokesperson for Shiv Sena, and Asif Bhamlaa, who's a spokesperson for BJP. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. This is an interesting day to be discussing all of this. There are so many aspects of Maharashtra elections that could be discussed, but this literally has to start with this. Of course, first reaction would have to be taken from Asif Bhamlaa at this point. Mr. Asif Bhamlaa, how do you look at what Jarange Patil has done? He's done a U-turn, he's moved out. His direct challenge was really to Mahayuti, quite direct. Those who claimed about 400 seats have been shown their real position. Asif Bhamlaa, how do you look at the U-turn of Jarange Patil?
Well, as far as the Mahayuti is concerned, it was always for, with and by the Maratha Arakshan, which it did very religiously. It ensured that it was executed in the court of law, which the previous government negligences resulted in its failure. And again, when we came back to power, it was Eknath Shinde ji, who himself is a strong Maratha leader, Devendra ji and Ajit Dada, who ensured that this within the framework of the Maratha reservation gets executed. But again, there's always uneasiness within a section of a society. So of course he had his reservations. He fought for it. He did various andolans, and he realized that after the Lok Sabha elections that his andolans is just going to not help him. It's just going to help the opposition who have come to power, though, in terms of the number of seats that they won in Maharashtra and Lok Sabha, not in the center, of course. In the center, it's the BJP, which is there in power. But that has invariably not made him eligible to be a political face or a feature of the state of Maharashtra. So, realizing this, he's taken a stand. And I think
no,
that
I don't get it.
The Lok Sabha, the last Lok Sabha election is impacted on us.
If this is the stand you're maintaining, let me just ask you this. While he said that he's going to field 25 candidates the day before he actually went to withdraw their pole position, when he did say it was a direct attack at the Mahayuti. It was a direct attack, not even a snide backhand. It was a direct attack. He said that nobody has ever cheated Marathas like those in power right now. Not just cheated, humiliated, backstabbed. These were the words of Jarange Patil himself. Krishna Hegde, do you want to come in?
Okay.
Yeah, Sneha, you
can I submit,
very clearly said
on this one statement, ma'am? Can I submit on one statement?
Okay. Okay.
Can I on the statement? No, my just one
yes, Asif Bhamlaa, please go ahead.
Sorry, Krishna. Is that, see, to fight an election or not to fight an election is every individual prerogative in a democracy. So he had the chance, he had the prerogative, and no one stopped him, no one pressurized him, no one told him you stand, and no one told him to not stand. So now he's taken a stand, but that's going to be to the advantage of the Mahayuti, because 50 seats of the Vidhan Sabha are Maratha-centric. Last time we lost 8 seats because of that. So this time, of course, our cause will be better.
Krishna Hegde, allow me. I'll just come back to you, Krishna Hegde. I know I've taken your name, but just give me a minute. Let me just get a response to this. Very quickly, let me just get Chandrasekhar Jha. Chandrasekhar Jha, do you want to respond to what Asif Bhamlaa is saying? Asif Bhamlaa is saying that BJP, the Mahayuti, are going to be the winners of what Jarange Patil has done. But the numbers, if you look at what happened in Lok Sabha, was a big miss, and if we could have those numbers up on our screen as well, it was a big miss for the Mahayuti, a big loss, wiped out quite literally from the Marathwada region, if we can, even Western Maharashtra for that matter, really feeling the heat. But this could go anyway.
See, the swing will be possibly in the way of the opposition. The way the things were going with regard to the reservation and non-action by the ruling government shows categorically that they were neglected, they were denied their recognition and everything, and therefore this swing will always operate in favor of the opposition and nothing else. But eventually, the elections which are going to be held on 28th, the major issues remain that the law and order situation and everything, the industries which have gone to Gujarat, these are also the issues which are including the quota issue. And eventually, if you see, this election will be very tight election, very tough election, very challengeable election. And majority, the winners will be having a very not comfortable margin in their election seats, winning the election seats. But eventually, the opposition will be holding his head up. The head will be up for the opposition, and this thing will swing in favor of the opposition.
Okay, Krishna Hegde, you know, this battle the battle for Maharashtra has a lot to do also with several other issues like Chandrasekhar Jha pointed out, but it's also about the real Pawars. Who's the real Pawars? It's also about the real Sena. And a lot of this is also very closely linked to what Jarange Patil has been demanding. So you may say that, you know, the name has gone with this faction, the name has gone with this leader. But if you look at the Lok Sabha elections, if you look at what Jarange Patil has done, if you look at the core issues that are really at stake, the sentiments really at stake, the whole Maratha quota battle and the election that was to be fought by Jarange Patil withdrawing also has direct bearings on Mahayuti and the MVA. Stakes high for Mahayuti, in fact.
Yeah, let me tell you that, like you correctly pointed out, there are 28% to 30% Marathas in the state. But let me again tell you that the Congress was in power for 50 years. They did nothing for the Marathas, nothing for the reservation. Sharad Pawar Sahab was in power 3 times as chief minister and 15 years in the government with the Congress. He is a Maratha leader. He did nothing. But it is Eknath Shinde ji, the Maratha leader and the chief minister, along with Devendra ji and Ajit Dada Pawar, who gave them 10% reservation in employment and also in jobs. So no one can say that we did not do anything for them. We are the only government which did anything for them. And that too, we did not take any reservation out of the OBC quota. Secondly, let me tell you that, we have Maratha leaders in all the parties. But like Mr. Bhamlaa said, it's the prerogative of Manoj Jarange Patil ji whether he wants to contest the elections or not to contest the elections. But when he withdrew his candidate, he clearly said that I cannot win or we cannot win on the strength of the basis of one community, that is the Maratha community. And therefore, I think he had made a wise decision at that
True.
time that
And he goes
fielding
on to say, look
10.
at BJP, look at the parties in the alliance, they have not been able to win the elections by themselves also. So he says that as well while you're talking about the caste, just putting the
No, see
larger
the
picture
difference
together.
between the Lok Sabha, the difference between the Lok Sabha election and the state elections is why, the factors are totally different. Secondly, the difference, in if you constitute all the assembly segments, the difference was only 36 assembly segments between the Mahayuti and the Mahavikas Agadi, and the difference in percentage of votes was 0.30, and if you count the number of votes, it was only 2.6 lakh vote difference between the Mahayuti and Mahavikas Agadi. And in an electorate of around 13 crore states, I don't think that's much of a number. So we are definitely sure with all the welfare schemes we have given the people, we would come back into power. But however said and done, our respects to Mr. Jarange Patil and his agitation. Whatever he's done for the Marathas, I think one person has done a lot for his community, and we should also appreciate the stand he's taken and the fight he's given. However, said and then he is not contesting the election this time, and now whom does it benefit? That the people of Maharashtra will decide whom that benefits. However, if you even look at the OBC, who are also huge in number, and we have worked for the OBCs also, STs also, we have worked for the youth, we work for the farmers, we have given schemes for the ladies, we have given schemes for almost every section of society. And
I know.
therefore, I
In fact,
think
there were a
people want a
barrage of
government which
schemes
works.
that were also announced before the
No,
model code of
largely,
conduct did
no,
kick in. So
largely,
that was also quite there even
no,
before that as well. But
large,
allow me to just get in Anish
yeah.
Gawande to respond to you. Anish Gawande, do you agree with what Krishna Hegde is saying? We may talk about the seats, but if you look at the percentage, it's bare minimum is what they are claiming. Is that how you all look at the make or break deal of Jarange Patil?
Sneha, on very many debates, including on your channel, we've been reminded by government spokespersons that vote share is only for losers and only so losers go to vote share in elections. So let's not discuss vote share, because at the end of the day, the seat sort of outcome is very different from a vote share. But focusing on Marathwada, I think Manoj Jarange Patil ji led an incredibly powerful agitation. And the main difference in that agitation and his frustration with the BJP today is that previous governments acknowledged the difficulty in granting reservation and did not make false promises. The unfortunate reality is that the BJP has become a headline government promising things that they cannot deliver upon. And people of Maharashtra have realized that you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. Now, the reality is that in Marathwada, agrarian distress is the number one factor. If you go to Karanja, I was there just a few weeks ago, there's soya bean rotting on the sides of the road. If you go and see the sort of hinterland of Marathwada, there are widows of farmers who died by suicide who have not been receiving their pensions. If you see the cotton farmers right now, they've been agitating because the MSP for cotton is not being met and they're being forced to sell their cotton at lower prices. You've got agrarian growth falling to 1.9% from 4.5%. And you've got an entire region that is starved not only of water, but of farm incomes and of any direct government benefits. And you're going to see that reflected in the elections. When it comes to the sort of caste consolidation, I want to respond very quickly because there has been a complete lack of attention to every single community in the state. The BJP's Madhav formula, Mali, Dhangar, and Vanjara, which has been the formula that they've been using in Maharashtra for the last few decades, has completely fallen apart. The Mali community, of which Chhagan Bhujbalji is one of their most senior leaders, till just very recently said that he will not fight the elections or campaign because of his frustration with the government. The Dhangar community, which has been protesting for months across the state because it has not been granted reservation, which led to Narhari Zilwar jumping into, and we've all seen those visuals of him jumping into the nets at Mantralaya, has not received justice, and multiple Dhangar leaders, including the BJP's own ally, the RSP, have left them. And finally, the Vanjari community, which is also very prominent in Marathwada, has been feeling sort of dejected, and very, very powerful aides of the Vanjari community, including those from the Munde family itself, have left the party to join my own party. So, the reality is that beyond the caste calculus, the agrarian distress in Marathwada is going to come and bite the BJP in these elections like it did in the Lok Sabha elections.
No, but very quickly, Krishna Hegde, if you want to respond to this, because points made are very valid, and it's not just about what's in the Marathwada region, because it's not just the Marathwada region that represents the Marathas or the issue of Marathas, as it were. It is spread across Maharashtra for that matter. It resonates with several other issues that are also very closely linked to agrarian distress, even in urban centers. So it's not like an isolated island where Jarange Patil and his politics or his demands are really being reflected upon.
Yeah, first let me tell you, whether it was unseasonal rains, whether it was onions, grapes, cotton, tomatoes. It is our government who asked the district collectorate to assess the situation on the ground and give them, the farmers, the compensation. We are giving them 6,000 rupees from the center and 6,000 rupees from the state. That's 12,000 rupees to every farmer family. We've given them free electricity for every horsepower pump which is below 7 horsepowers, and we've given them other benefits and other subsidies. Over that, we have given the reservation also to the Marathas. Now, Anish was telling me, my friend, that we did everything, but what did they do? Uddhavji did not even call for a single meeting of, when the farmers were affected. And it was our government which paid the compensation which was due even during Uddhav Thackerayji's regime. But I don't want to get into it. The main thing is our government has worked for the people.
But
We were a
Krishna ji
24 by
didn't answer
7
a
government.
question that everybody is asking. People in Maharashtra are also asking. If this is the counter that Mahayuti has, why is the anger so much against Mahayuti? He has not gone on to take out the history of all the leaders and all the governments. He is just blatantly against, upset, against the Mahayuti. I'm not saying this. It is he himself who's saying it. It's neither the opposition saying it. It's Jarange Patil and his followers himself saying this.
Yeah, it is our government who has given the Maratha brothers and sisters a reservation. If he's still angry, we will still talk to him. Our doors are open to him. We will talk to him. But however, he should also understand that it is the previous regimes who have given the Marathas nothing and only used them as a vote bank. However, this is a government which works. We are not a Facebook Live government. We work for the people. We did not plant bombs under industrialist houses, took 100 crores from ladies' bars, killed sadhus in Palghar, and did all the kind of rotten stuff known as the Vasuli Agadi Sarkar.
Oh
All
dear.
infrastructure
Where are
was
you going?
shut.
Where are you going? Where
All
is this discussion going?
No,
That's
this is all a
definitely
fact.
not the
So I
line
have
that
to
we
bring
need to
it
be
up.
taking at this point. But Anish Gawande, I'll have to get you in to respond to this, Anish. Anish, so theirs is not a government of Facebook lives. We just stick to that apart from going into the other. We don't want to steer away from this discussion.
I think we're very clear that there is a track record of 2.5 years of the Mahavikas Aghadi's government's performance, the way the COVID-19 pandemic was handled, the way in which the law and order situation in the state was maintained. You've seen a complete collapse of law and order in the state, not just in urban centers like Mumbai and its surrounding regions where you saw the horrific Badlapur case, but also in Pune and its surrounding regions where you saw the Babdev Ghat case, and across rural parts of the state as well, where a tu janta hai mera baap kaun hai culture has entered the state, right? So there's widespread anger, there's widespread distress. And I think it's going to be the job of any government that comes to power after this to really take stock of the situation and deal with it seriously. I just want to add one small point, right? I think the frustration that you're seeing with someone like a Manoj Jarange Patil ji is because of the promises made by Devendra Fadnavis ji. You know, when Devendra Fadnavis ji went around the state saying that he was the champion of Maratha reservation and that he was going to bring it around, and he made such a huge hue and cry about it, you raised expectations of people that it was possible to do this overnight, when repeatedly you've been told that unless you remove the 75% cap on reservation nationally, this is simply not tenable, nor is it possible. I'll remind Krishna ji also, who's my friend, that it was Sharad Pawar ji who had introduced the sort of Kunbi Marathas under the OBC category when he was chief minister, and ensured that Kunbi Marathas got reservation under the OBC category when the Mandal Commission's recommendations were first implemented in Maharashtra. But the reality is that the simplicity of this process, that everyone can get reservation under the OBC quota or get a Kunbi certificate, was simplified. You can't make promises you cannot keep. This is a reality that is going to catch up to any government.
Okay, I'll get responses to that
But
in
I
a bit.
don't
But
think
Dr.
Garibi
Uday Nirgodkar, let
has
me
been
come to
hurt
you.
out.
You've not had a response till now. Okay, Dr. Nirgodkar,
Listening to,
my
I've been
question to you
watching.
and to people
Can
who
I come in?
may be having a very bird's eye view to what's happening in Maharashtra, Dr. Uday. Dr.
No,
Uday,
I've
how
been
critical at the heart is this entire issue?
first, I've been listening and watching, and I was amused. And I don't know if the TV serials which entertain the people will have no TRP because of all the discussions happening and the allegations which these people are making. Jarange is a puppet. Look, today, I mean, this show is in English, it is not in Marathi. Otherwise, I can translate in verbatim what he said. 2 days back, the gentleman tells all his workers to fill the forms. He meets no money. Now, who is no money? Everyone knows. Then it meets Dalit leaders. Then he creates a whole issue around it. And now he realizes that he can't fight elections on one community and one caste. Was he not knowing it earlier? It shows that he is a puppet. And who is a puppeteer? The issue of soybean is raised over here. The gentleman doesn't know that the highest purchase of soybean has happened in this season. The gentleman doesn't know Anna Sahib Shinde shot himself, and who became the chief minister after that for 3 times? Which party was there? Jarange party was a puppet. He made a fool of himself, and he made a fool of his entire community. This is a mockery of democracy.
Okay, Dr. Uday, firstly, I for somebody who has led movements such as this and agitation such as this, I think we'll have to be mindful of the language. But what's very interesting is, and I would like to get the BJP on to what Dr. Uday has said, it's interesting to say that Dr. Uday is calling him a puppet, but neither the BJP, neither Mr. Krishna Hegde for that matter called him that. What's the reason for that, Asif Bhamlaa?
Well, we would not like to give him much cognizance much significance, because the climax that happened today was something which we had foreseen earlier only. We knew this was just a pressure tactic. This was more at the instance of, like, Uday is a very senior journalist, so he can be vocal, but I have my barriers because being in the party and a spokesperson, so maybe I can't be as vocal as my friend Uday is. Coming back to the debate,
what stops you if that is the truth?
To you very,
so at the end of the day, Asif Bhamlaa, you do
Party
realize, you may
spokesperson
want
has
to
to
call
follow
him
the
or want
party
to
line.
believe him as whatever you want, but he has immense influence. And that is where the election trick really is.
No, listen, of course he has. He does have an influence. Where are we denying that? We can't neglect any man who's got a sizable influence over 100 voters. So of course he had an influence over Maratha community. Well, that is one side of the thing. Now coming back to this debate, let me not deviate to just Jarange Patil and make it him-centric. Coming back to this, let me submit to you with full confidence that the biggest alliance in this election will be the Mahayuti alliance. Time is not far. We will be again coming back on the debate. We will again be talking about this. But let me also tell you, and why so? Because of the governance and on the basis of the performance of the Mahayuti with competent leaders like Eknath ji, Devendra ji, and of course Ajit Dada, who all three are known for their deliverables.
So Devendra Fadnavis, you just heard Anish speak about Devendra Fadnavis, that the entire reason for instigation of this Maratha protest has been nothing short of the promises, fake promises, they claim of Devendra Fadnavis.
Yeah, so I want to tell Anish.
Sure, go ahead.
Anish, I want to tell Anish, who I've been hearing that he is like he and his party is of course holier than thou, because in ke time mein to there was no agrarian distress at all. In his times, there was no farmer suicides. In his price, the soybean prices were very much upright, and not only that, in his time, there were no reservations at all. And that's why his party or the leaders then, who I do have a lot of regard for, could not ensure the execution of the reservation, which of course this government has done. So it's like actions are louder than words, and people have seen the actions, and that's what's going to transform into what's in the forthcoming elections, and we're going to see that. Why? Now today they're talking about the industries going to Gujarat.
Anish, you want to respond quickly? So, Asif Bhamlaa is saying that, listen, Dr. Uday is a senior journalist. He can speak whatever he wants. I have my limitations because of being a politician, and then, of course, goes on to say that nothing happened during your government. Quick response, Mr. Anish.
Very quick responses to that. I respect Asif ji a lot. He's a very senior spokesperson in his party, and I've seen his work in Mumbai, and I'd humbly submit that he knows a lot more about these issues than I do. But to say it very frankly, right, that the largest complete farm loan waiver happened under the leadership of Sharad Pawar as agriculture minister. The fact that prices for soybean, cotton, and other sort of goods that increased more than MSP because of a result of investment in not just agricultural fair price, but also in agricultural research and irrigation happened under Sharad Pawar's leadership as agriculture minister. So his track record in agriculture is for everyone to see. My only humble submission, and Udayji is a senior journalist, and I think he's spoken what many feel on the other side of the political spectrum, is that if the Marathas were very happy with the reservation provided to them, why would the reservation issue still be a contentious one, and why would there still be dissatisfaction? Now, regardless of whether or not I believe that the reservation has been granted or somebody else believes the reservation has been granted, the reality is that most Marathas across the state do not feel like they have been served with a iota of justice. And that is why there is resentment. And you have to acknowledge that resentment. I'm not saying that we have been able to provide them with a perfect solution. Our stand has been very clear.
Let me rebut
to 75%. But Asif ji, you must answer, why has the central government, despite all of these movements taking place across the country, not increased the limit
Mr.
on
Bhamlaa,
residential
40 seconds. Go ahead, Mr. Bhamlaa.
Let me tell you that I do submit, and I definitely agree that Pawar Saab is a very tall Maratha leader, and we all respect him with due respect. coming back to the demographics here, it's just this confidence that has enhanced them. And the only reason was the Maratha issue. It was in a way goofed up badly, and the opposition got the best to their advantages, and and somewhere down the line we had there was a little political arithmetic that went against us, which gave them so much of confidence to harp on. But let me tell you, the mistakes done earlier shall not be repeated, and this is a different election. The narrative is different, the perspective is different.
Dr. Uday,
and the
very
result
quickly.
also will be
Dr. Uday, if I can come to you. We are out of time. Let me just get in Dr. Uday. Dr. Uday, you may call Jarange Patil a puppet. There would be many who would disagree with you, but let's look at the numbers in the Lok Sabha elections, because that's the only election that really happened, a large-scale election that happened after the split of the two prominent parties, as it were, and the jump from one ally to the other. Mahayuti, Shiv Sena got only one seat. This is for the
Marathwada region.
For the Marathwada region. Mahavikas Agadi. Correct, Marathwada region. Congress got 3. Shiv Sena UBT got 3. And if you can have the graphic up on the screens as well, NCP SP got 1. You may call whatever you want to call Mr. Jarange Patil. The stakes are very high, and it's quite on the opposite of Mahayuti at this point. Is that the way to see it?
Let me put it square and straight. Number one, during Lok Sabha times, I wish you had that clip. If not, I will send it, play it tomorrow. Where what Jarange said, he said, we are not going to contest Lok Sabha because our fight is for Vidhan Sabha, where we will contest 100% seats. So what direction, as a leader of Maratha powerful community, he gave it to his Maratha people that we are going to contest 100% Vidhan Sabha. Then he asked his people to file the forms. Then he starts campaigning. Then he meets Muslim leaders. Then he meets Dalit leader. And now he takes a volta redonda, a turn, and says that you can't fight elections on one community. Was this fact not known earlier? Was he trying to act on somebody's behalf? He must explain to his community, because he has been leading the most powerful agitation. And what happened to that now? Has he left that entire battle? Now today also in his press conference, 2 times he changed his stance. He was trying to once say that we will do a politics of defeating people. What is it that he is trying to do? Why is he not contesting? What reason he is going to give it to his people? What is it that he is trying to tell that by saying that with the help of one community you cannot win? This caste lines and caste fault lines, making it wider, is not good for democracy. That's what has been done. And it's very unfortunate sign for India.
Chandrasekhar Jha, kindly respond. Chandrasekhar Jha.
See, the caste census which is due has not been taken up by the central government till now. This caste consensus has not been done. What is the reason behind for not doing it? It is up to BJP to explain. We are not going into it, but we say that categorically after 15 days there is an election. The election results will show how the Mahayuti and the Mahavikas Agadi has done, what will be the result, and the facts will be facts. The result will show the way.
So are you saying that if you come to power, you're going to get the caste census done?
Pardon?
Are you saying if you come to power, you're going to get the caste census done?
Caste census has to be done because, see, the Congress has also made that caste census has to be done in each state, and this caste census will help everyone because this population is growing day by day. The caste census has not been done, and if it is not done categorically, we cannot say how much population has been inflated in a caste, and that percentage is required to determine the questions of quota and everything.
Sneha, I would like to correct this data. Caste census cannot be done the the Census Act clearly states that only the central government can do the census. If the state can do anything, they can do a survey on the lines of Bihar, what was earlier
Caste
done in
survey.
Karnataka.
Correct. Fair
Regarding
enough.
Anish Gawande,
Yes, sure.
who said
Sure.
that so much relief was sent during Sharad Pawar's regime as the agriculture minister. I do not want to embarrass him by asking him what is the actual amount which was sent, but I will tell you it was close to 5,500 crores out of 71,000 crores which was sent across the country. And this was his own state. And the farmers were dealing with suicides and hardships, and Maharashtra got only 5,500 crores out of that money. So before someone makes some data, they should also say
Anish.
if some data is given for the center, what kind of money has come to Maharashtra itself. And therefore, during their tenure of 15 years,
Okay.
the maximum number of farmer suicides had also happened, which is very unfortunate.
Mr. Anish, 30 seconds.
The only reason I will come in here is to ask a counter question as to how many people who got the 1 rupee crop insurance promised by the BJP government received any sort of payouts when the bollworm affected cotton crops across Maharashtra. And the final thing I'll say is to Udayji, because I just had to message somebody to look it up. There's been a record sale of soybean because it's all gone to rot and farmers are selling at 3,700 instead of 4,200. And agrarian distress is a concern that if someone ignores, it will cost them an election. And as my dear friend from the Shiv Sena UBT just said, the proof lies in the proof of the pudding lies in the eating, and we'll see that on the 23rd of November.
Dr. Uday, last question to you, Dr. Uday, at this point. And the big question here is, are we in a position to say, for anybody who's watching the Maharashtra elections from outside, with the U-turn of Jarange Patil, is there any party at the outset set to get an advantage, or it could go either way?
Since Jarange has not maintained consistency and there is a serious doubt about his credibility and is he really acting on behalf of somebody, these are some of the issues. Had that not been the case, he would have been a political force to reckon with. But unfortunately, he himself has made so many changes in his own stance. 2 days back, the gentleman said, "मैं समीकरण बनाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं." मतलब दलित मुस्लिम समीकरण बनाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं. And some days back, he even gave some list of 92 Vidhan Sabha constituencies Maratha candidates will be fielded. Now, because of that, he has lost his credibility. So his damaging power for any party, any alliance, will be reduced to its lowest, in my opinion. But as of today, he's playing it for the advantage of MVA.
All right. We'll just rest it at that. Elections are always never say no, never say yes kind of a mode. It's always a close battle. Maharashtra is a big, big deal. And it's just a matter of days when people will give their verdict out. Huge, huge aspects at stake here. But nonetheless, Anish Gawande, Chandrasekhar Jha, Dr. Uday Nirgudkar, Asif Bhamlaa, and Krishna Hegde, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for your time. Time for a very short break. On the other side, we'll bring you the latest.